Alright guys, welcome back. Let's just get started with our session today. So this is going to be our session 2 actually. We're going to keep talking about the P-Series Software Edition configurations, okay? So the session 2, as I mentioned in the previous one, we're going to talk about more details of your configurations based on this particular system. The previous one, we already figured out the deployment. So now this is about the time for us to start talking about more details. In this session, we're going to talk about the extension configurations, of course. We will need to create a bunch of extensions on the P-Series Software Edition, so we'll be able to make calls, right? And we're also going to talk about the trunk configuration plus the call control settings. So in other words, after this session, we'll be able to realize internal communications and external communications together. Okay, enough talk. Let's get started. So let's have a check on the extension settings first. Now, before we start talking about the extension settings, I guess a couple of things we're supposed to be well prepared at the very beginning, which is going to be here. So once you're in the system, okay, all right, for example, once you're in the P-Series Software Edition, I suppose the first step you're going to do there is going to be this. All right, go check on PBX settings and go for preferences. Okay, it's not a big deal, but this is kind of like our preparation, all right? So for the preferences here, you will be able to customize something whatever you prefer. I mean, this is totally under your control, right? You want to configure something for your PBX, want to have some sort of personalization, you will just go access this place. For example, like change the device name, something like that. Anyway, these are something very basic. I think the only thing which is so important here will be extension range. This is something real matters, I guess. So before we start talking about the extension configuration, now probably you get a question right now is, hey, what's the extension number range? If I want to create a bunch of extensions, then at least I'm supposed to be notified. I'm supposed to be, clear about the extension range. Then we can start to configure extensions. So have a check here. Extension preferences here. You will be able to change your extension number range. Now, apparently the default settings is okay, I guess, from 1000 to 5999. That will be the extension range for me, and I think I'm okay with that. So, like I said, if you want to have some sort of customization, you go access this place. But just be careful. If you want to change the range, give it a check here. The start number and end number must have the same amount of digits. Okay, so if you want to use 3 digits numbers, you're supposed to change the extension range like this. Okay, otherwise, you're not going to be able to save this. So this is something I guess we're supposed to have a quick look at the very beginning. Another thing we have here will be voice prompt. Again, guys, this is something not a big deal, but it's quite important for you to get prepared. All right. So voice prompt, let's have a quick look. Part 1, it's going to be prompt preferences here. All right, so if you want to have some sort of customization for your prompts, like music on hold, invalid film number prompt, whatever it is, you want to customize them, you go access this place. Okay, so it's something very basic. And here's the system prompt, by the way. So the default system, it will give you one prompt, which is English. All right, so all of your system prompts, they're going to be in English. If you want to get some other prompts, all right, different languages, you can simply go click on this one, download online prompts. All right, so we can get different language packages from our server, okay? Quite easy. You can simply go click on this button, which is download, then get that particular language. So this is exactly what you're supposed to do. Okay, and then in the list, you will be able to see multiple language packages. Like I said, I already got the Chinese here, all right? So I can choose to make English as the default language prompt, or I can choose the Chinese. Depends on me. Okay, now let's just save the English as the default language prompt. Here's the orange button, by the way. Here's something very interesting, whatever you configured on the system, I mean, not just for now, even in the future. All right, so if you click on save, and I'm pretty sure you guys will see there's an orange button on the right side corner. Don't forget to go check on that one, which is apply, to ensure your configurations are going to take effect. All right, don't forget this. Okay, number 3, music on hold. So music on hold, if you have something locally, all right, you want to play some music, based on your local storage, like a computer or whatever, that's fine. You can use local audio. This is one option. Another option is really cool, which is going to be streaming music. So you don't have to download those musics from the servers, from the internet. Anyway, you can just use streaming music directly. So simply give it a name. All right, you will need the playlist, the name, and simultaneously you're going to need this music URL, the streaming music URL. So this is going to be music on hold. The last one will be custom prompt. The custom prompt, this is something created by yourself. It's not like a system prompt. System prompt is something we just uploaded on it. All right, you can use it directly to get notification from the system. You know, sometimes get an alert, get a notification. Anyway, the custom prompt will be fully created by yourself. This is more like a solution for your IVRs or your queues. Anyway, basically means you got that flexibility to customize it. For example, if you guys make a call to Yeastar, you will hear something like, "Thank you for calling Yeastar." That's just a custom prompt recorded by Yeastar. Okay. As for the prompt recording, so how do we record it? First of all, you can name this prompt. You will need to select one of your extensions. Okay, if you have, then you're going to click on record. So you will get a phone ring on that extension. Simply grab it, just follow the instruction in the phone. Then you can just record it directly through your phone. So this is one way. Another way for you to record a prompt is going to be this. All right, you can go check on upload. So you guys can see here's the requirement. So if you got an audio file already, let's say you already recorded something in advance, you want to upload it on the system, but you're not sure about this format. All right, give it a check here, make sure that audio file is under this requirement. Then you can just upload it on the system directly, make it work. Okay, now I'm going to cancel this. So this is going to be the prompt recording, okay, for some preferences settings, okay. Now, I think this is about the time for us to move forward. Let's talk about extension settings. Here we go. Go check on extension and trunk here. You're going to find extension. Click on that. And this is the place for us to create extensions. So we got 3 options for you to create a bunch of extensions. All right, number 1, you can go check on add, create an extension. Create single extension one by one. Number 2, you're going to use Bellcat, create a bunch of extensions simultaneously. Now, for example, I'm going to create 5 extensions together. So you can see create number will be 5. Then if I click on save, all right, that basically means I'm going to create 5 extensions by one time. All right, so this is what I can do with Bellcat. And option 3 is going to be template. So you can also select all of these extensions. Then you can see here we have export. Go check on that. You're going to get the CSV file. That's going to be the template. Then you check on the template, and you just added this template to create a bunch of extensions together. That's also supported as well. Okay, now I'm going to give you guys another example. Let's just talk about more details of extension settings. So I'm going to go check on add, create a single extension. Have a look on more details. Have a look here. First thing first is going to be the user information. So what is the user information? Well, if you want to create an extension for individual users, they will need the user information to log into the system as well. Especially we have a Linkus web client, Linkus mobile client, and Linkus PC client. Just don't forget it, we got Linkus UC clients. So that means individual users, they can also be able to log into the system. But the point here is, when they log into the system, this is not going to be the configuration portal for them. This is just going to be the Linkus web client. So that's going to be the user information. So of course, we're supposed to edit the user information for our individuals. So here, I'm going to type in my name and my mailbox. So quite easy, right? And also mobile number. This is optional, by the way. You can absolutely type something here just in case you're going to need it in the future. All right. For example, some sort of notification, we might probably want to notify this guy by calling mobile, and we might probably need the mobile number. Well, this is not my mobile number, by the way. It's just an example. And here's the user password. This is just going to be the password for this particular extension user to log into the web client. That's very important. So the default password, it's a random password. Now, of course, we just suggest you guys create something by yourself, but don't create a simple password. All right. So if you want to create a password like this, that's fine, but we just don't suggest you guys do this. All right. That's so simple. So you better create a dynamic password, a complex password. For example, like a Yeastar123 or something else. Anyway, you mix them together. Then, one more thing here will be user role. What is the user role? Well, just like I mentioned before, guys, user information, these are all for these individuals to log into the system, right? Now, even for the individual, we can actually assign the user permission for him or for her to control the system. So, user role, you can also, I guess you could also say this is kind of like a user permission configuration. Now, the difference is like we get a couple of presets. For example, administrator, supervisor, operator, employee, human resource, and accounting. That means different presets. The point here is different presets got a different user permissions. I will show you later, okay? So for example, like if I make you as the administrator, next time when this guy logs into the system, he will just be able to work as the administrator, which means he will be able to control the entire system, just like what I'm doing right now. Okay, let me just show you an example. See, this is my extension number, 1005, and this is my password. Let's keep this in our mind. Save this. Apply for it. Okay, now I'm going to switch the user account. So you guys can see the difference. Now I'm going to jump into the system with my individual user account and password. To jump in, here we go. All right. So you can see this is individuals to log into the system. And now, of course, this is the first time for you to log into your web client. So you will see some notification like this. And also this private policy agreement, confirm with that. Okay. And the system will give you this notification. All right. To secure your system, please change the default password. Well, the previous one is created by the supervisor. That's just the default password. So you can absolutely set a new password. Let's see, Yeastar something. I will just create a new password. Okay, then I will save this. Then the system will just ask me to log in again with the new password, of course. Then you will see the difference. Okay, so here we go. This is the interface for individual. All right, for this particular individual, well, as you can see, currently I got nothing to do here. I cannot control the system. This is just a web client. But at the left side corner here, when I click on Access Management Portal, there you go. I will be able to control the entire system. So that's what we can do with this user role, because my user role is administrator. So I can do this. Okay. Anyway, let's just switch it back. All right, I'm gonna, use the super administrator's account for the live demo. So let me just switch it back. All right, get back here. Let's keep going with our extensions. Okay, so I'm gonna keep with this extension 1005. Let's keep going. Now, one more thing here will be job title. It depends on you. For example, I'm in charge of training, so my job title is supposed to be senior training instructor. I would just drop it here, all right? Or you can leave it empty, that's fine. And by the way, here's the extension information. Now, I already created this extension, so you guys can see I cannot change the extension number. If you create a new extension, absolutely you can change this. By the way, you got a caller ID, your registration name, plus the registration password. So these are all for your phone registration. All right, you can also switch it with the random password. This is just for security. So next time if you want to register a phone, you're going to use this information. Another thing here, which is going to be IP phone concurrent registrations. Guys, this is the SIP forking feature. And I want you to be very careful here. The IP phone concurrent registrations, you can see maximally we support 3. That basically means you will be able to register 3 hardware IP phones on the same extension number, which is 1005. But please don't forget Linkus UC clients. So eventually, we're going to be able to have 6 terminals which are sharing the same extension number. It sounds a little bit tricky, but you guys need to remember this, okay? So it will be 3 IP phones, but totally you're going to have 6 terminals because we still have Linkus. Don't forget we have Linkus mobile client, PC client, and web client. So there will be 6 terminals. They can just share the same extension number. All right, keep going. So that was all for this part. The next one will be presence. Okay, so as I mentioned, we provide you guys link as UC clients, Unified Communication Solution. So presence, it's a big deal for your collaboration. As you can see here, for individuals, we can set presences for every single one of them. And the point here is we can set different working status for different presences. This is something really awesome. I got a 6 presences totally. Available, away, business trip, do not disturb, lunch break, and off work. So if I choose available here, that basically means all my configurations, the following configurations will just be the status for this particular presence, which is available. So for example, I'm going to set presence information for available like, hey, what's up? All right, I might probably create something like this. That's fine. That's fine. So this means my presence information for available, it's hey sup. Well, if I switch the presence to do not disturb, I might probably create something different. Okay, and not just the presence information, you can also customize your call forwarding destination for internal calls and external calls. Okay, so you have many choices there. When no answer, when busy, anyway, you can set different destinations for it. Okay, and even the ring strategy, guys. Please don't forget we have multiple terminals right now. So it's up to you. Which one would you like to ring it first? Make your choice here. You can also define the timeout. The default timeout will just be 30 seconds. Of course, you can make it shorter or longer, depends on you. And you can also enable the mobility extension feature. For example, I can ring the mobile number simultaneously. So if you got an incoming call there, the system will also trigger another call on your mobile. So you will also get a phone ring on your mobile. I mean your SIM card. All right, you're gonna get a phone ring through your SIM card on your mobile. Okay, so this is about the presence. And number 3 will be voicemail. Give it a check. This feature is very basic, very fundamental, so it has been enabled automatically. You can use voicemail directly, and if you want to check the voicemail by the traditional way, using the access code, you can do it. All right, use the feature code plus this particular PIN code to check your voicemail. And you can also enable some other things, like if I get a new voicemail, I would like to get some information from the system. But mostly people are just going to keep the default. Do not send email notifications because that will be really annoying sometimes. It's optional, by the way. And here, voicemail grading. This is something special on the P-Series system. So usually, as we know, if we want our customers to leave a message, we're just going to play a prompt to tell them. So here you can also tell your system what would you like to play. Now, for example, I might probably want to play a prompt to my customers or my clients like, hey, how's it going? This is Jason. Please call me back later. Anyway, I might probably record something like that. That will be the voicemail grading. So this is customized. This is customizable. So it can be customized by myself. You can go check on greeting management. So over here, if you want to upload a particular prompt or you want to record a new prompt, you can do it here directly. And after this, you can back over here. So in the drop-down list, you will be able to select those prompts. Or you can also record them one by one. This is also supported. Okay, so this is about the voicemail. Number 4, features. Features are something quite fundamental for this particular extension, like notifications. Send email notification when the user password is changed. This is just for security. Number 2, send email notifications on missed calls. Depends on you. And next part will be call recording. This is something really special. So first thing first, on the P-Series system, we only support auto recording feature. And auto recording feature is totally controlled by the super administrator. That means individual users, normally they don't have any user permission to control it. However, sometimes if we have a sensitive conversation with our customers, we might probably want to take a pause. We don't want to record it. What now? For that circumstance, we can actually enable the user permission for this particular individual user to control the recording. So you can choose to enable this, allow the extension to view recordings. First of all, we can give you the permission to check your recording. And number 2, I can also set the permission for you to manage recordings. For example, like no permission, or pause and resume, or start, pause, and resume. So you will be able to control the entire system's call recording. Then here, all busy mode for endpoints. Well, we have multiple endpoints. Depends on us, right? Here we also have time conditional presence auto switch. On the P-Series system, we can have a couple of time conditions, of course, like business hours, out of business hours, lunch break, anyway. So if you prefer to switch your presence automatically under different time conditions, well, then there you go. This is going to be a pretty good choice for you. Pretty good solution for you to do that. And here, we also have call monitor. This feature has been enabled. If you want to disable this, fine, just go for it. We also have one more thing, which is going to be call handling based on caller ID. So if you have a particular caller ID, let's see VIP customer. Okay, you want to handle this call particularly. You can have a particular action. Like this. Okay, so these are all for the extension settings, and then click on save, don't forget it, and apply for it. All right, so there you go. This is just a way how we create an extension for individual user. Okay, another step, the next step. The next step is how are you going to notify this user we just helped him or her create this extension. All right. That's okay. You can select this extension first of all, and you're going to go check on welcome email. All right, go check on this one, then the system will just send the welcome email to this particular mailbox. Then this individual user will be able to check on that mailbox to get this activation mail, because this email will give him all the detailed information, like what's your extension number, what's your username, what's your password, what is the web client, even the login QR code for your mobile client. All the details. Okay. So that's it. That was all for this to create an extension for this individual user. Now, next step. Next step is quite easy. We already have the extension created. Now, another step will be the phone registration. So probably we just want to know, hey, what if I'm like an old school style? I want to use the traditional hardware desktop phone. How can I do that? What about the phone registration? For phone registration, you can choose to register the phone manually. That's one solution. And another solution will just be this. You can use the auto provisioning. All right. When you use the auto provisioning, first of all, you can go check on resource repository and check in this list. Supported models are in the list. So if your IP phone is one of them, well, good for you. You can actually use the auto provisioning directly without any other additional customization. So switch it back to phones here, click on add. Okay. Choose the vendor. All right. For example, like a Fanvo, like a Flying Voice, like A-Link. Anyway, just select any of them. Choose the model. Okay. Choose the model and then MAC address. Don't forget to let us know the MAC address. Okay. Then you will see the template. Okay. That's it. So this is going to be the auto provisioning. And as for the provisioning method, you got a couple of options, actually. If this is a local deployment, mostly we're just going to use PMP in the office. That's very easy, all right, because mostly our IP phones, all of our, I think 9 times out of 10, our IP phones, they are based on PMP mode. So without any additional settings, you can just use PMP, plug and play, to figure out the auto provisioning. Option 2 will be DHCP. Some particular models probably they just require for the DHCP mode. We can also support RPS, which is remote registration, remote auto provisioning. This is also supported. Okay, so you will see the provisioning link is going to be this. You might need this for the RPS. Then just assign it to a particular extension, check on save, and you will see there's a little pop-up which tells you to reboot your IP phone. So once you figure out the phone rebooting, congratulations. You can grab this phone, make a call. And also, by the way, back to the extension and chunk here. So if you register a phone successfully, here you can see this little icon will just turn to blue. It will show you just successfully registered a phone on the PBX. Okay. All right, now let's just keep going. So that was all for the phone registration. And the next part, let's talk about the chunk settings. So the next part will be chunk settings. Okay. And for the trunk settings, give it a check here. Now, on the P-Series Software Edition, this is a pure IP-based solution. Now, if you want to create a trunk, pretty sure this is going to be a zip trunk. All right. So first thing first, name this zip trunk. If you want to have a zip trunk, let's see zip01. Okay. And select ITSP template. We actually got a cooperation with lots of providers, so you can simply make your choice here. For example, Canada. I can just choose the provider. All right, so if my provider is one of them, I can just select it. Anyway, you can see the template is right over here. All right, so this is one example. Or if your provider is not in the list, that's okay. You can use general. You can always use the general. That's fine. All right, you can always use the general to create the zip trunk. So, 3 options. Number 1 will be registered trunk. Give it a check here. All right. Okay, number 1 will just be the registered trunk. Very traditional, so you're going to register your PBX on the trunk provider side. All right, so you will have the host name, IP address, domain, username, plus the password. Very, very normal, very common. Number 2 will be pure trunk. Pure trunk is not that popular, but like I said, if you're using the dedicated zip trunk, if the way how you use zip trunk is based on dedicated zip trunk, you got a particular cable, particular channel, you're going to use pure trunk, and the service provider, they'll just hand you a particular public static IP address for the pure trunk configuration. So you don't have the username or password thing. Okay. Number 3 will be account trunk. Account trunk, have a look here. This is mostly just for interconnections. When I choose account trunk here, you guys will be able to see that we have username, password, plus the authentication name, something like this, right? So when I create an account trunk here, then I'm just gonna assign this account to the others. All right, to the other side might be another PBX, another gateway. Anyway, they can use this account trunk information to register on our PBX. Okay. So for this trunking, internal connection. All right, so this is about the trunk configuration. Now, let's keep going. Since we already figured out the extension settings and trunk settings, now the next part, I guess we can start talking about call control settings. But before that, by the way, you guys can see row is here. All right, give it a check. This is the user row I mentioned before. Still remember? These are all the presets, like I said. Different preset got different user permissions. For example, this is the administrator. All the user permissions are activated for the administrator. I'm sorry about this. I guess I just said a fireword, and the fireword probably just tried to block something. All right, so please don't remember me again. I'm okay with that. Okay, now let's just keep going. So like I said, this is what we can do with the administrator. And another thing here is you can see the difference. I mean, you can even see the difference. For example, like if I choose employee, only a few of them are selected, but this is fully customized. You can choose something, to customize it as you wish. So this is about the user role. Now, let's talk about the call control. So like I said, we already got the trunk set. We already got the, we got the trunk set. We got extension set. Now, we can just make use of our extensions and trunk for handling incoming and outgoing calls, which is going to be call control. But before that, the first thing we're supposed to take a look is going to be business hours and holidays. Have a look. Over here, you can add a couple of time conditions. All right, like business hours. All right, that will be one of your time conditions. For example, like at Yeastar, we just started working from morning 9 o'clock. Okay, so I can create business hour from morning 9 o'clock to 6 p.m. All right, so this is our business hour. I'm okay with this. And we also got a break hour. So for Yeastar, we get a 1 hour break for lunch. So it's going to be 12 o'clock to 1 p.m. There you go. Okay, let's make it simple. Then date settings. We can choose days of week directly. Like I don't have any special requirement. I can just use this. That's fine. Or if you want to have some more advanced configurations for your dates, you can go click on advanced options. So you can select a particular date or a couple of dates for this configuration. But like I said, I'm just going to make it simpler. Use days of week directly. Save this. So this is going to be my global time condition. All right, I mean, global time conditions. All right, sorry, a couple of time conditions. By the way, here we also have holidays. So for New Year, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Spring Festival, or whatever, there's so many festivals, you can add it over here. Okay. Let's make it simple. All right, I'm not going to create a holiday here. I think business hours is enough. Now, let's click on inbound. Let's just talk about the inbound route first. So for the inbound route, okay, you can add multiple inbound routes, of course. All right, so this is kind of like the route table on your router. On the router, we use route table to handle data transmissions. Now, on the PBX, we use route table to handle phone calls. All right, and this is not data transmission, but technically still it's going to be data transmission, but this is for audio, right? So this is just for phone calls. So here, you can add multiple routes. Like I said, if you want to create a new route, you're going to go click on this and name this route first of all. Just don't forget it. For example, this is the inbound route, so I might probably name it as N1. I think that's fine. We can just name it as N1. Here you will see the inbound alert info. The alert info is nothing special. This feature also get another name, which is very universal. That name is called distinctive ringtone. So if I tell you distinctive ringtone, well, you see this is nothing special. That's just a phone feature. So if you would like to get a particular ringtone based on your IP phone, then you drop your ringtone name over here next to time. If someone who's calling you through this inbound route, you're going to get that ringtone played on your phone. That's it. Apparently, I don't need this right now. I will skip this. Next part will just be DID pattern. For the DID pattern, it's optional actually. Depends on your SIP trunk. See, if you purchase this SIP trunk service with only one number, only one caller ID, that's fine. That means you don't have DID numbers. However, sometimes people, they might probably purchase multiple numbers, a bunch of caller IDs. Let's see, caller IDs. Or phone numbers. All right, I guess we can call this is just a couple phone numbers for the company. That will be the DID numbers. All right, different DID numbers, but the thing here is they're based on the same line. They're just based on the same cable, right? So here's the deal. Here's the question. Physically, we only have one cable, and we only have one trunk. Let's see. I only have this one trunk physically. But the point here is I got a different communication channels. Each one of my channels got a particular identity, which is the DID numbers. So how can I make my system be that intelligent to figure out how to handle incoming calls from this channel or the other one? Well, a little bit tricky, right? So for that circumstance, we're going to use DID pattern. We're going to make the system be that intelligent to do that. So over here, you got three options: DID pattern, match DID pattern to extensions, or match DID range to extension range. Depends on the way how are you going to use your DIDs. Okay, so have a check here. If you're not that clear, you can drop your mouse on the DID matching mode. The DID pattern actually is quite easy. This is kind of like you're going to use those rules to create a formula, to create a particular format. All right, then our system will just follow this format to check. See, this customer, he's calling you, right? He's calling you with a particular caller ID. Then the system will just check on this caller ID. See, if this caller ID can match with your rule, the rule you set over here. If it matched, well, if it matches, let's see, then we're going to use this inbound route. If it doesn't, we're not going to use this inbound route. So you can absolutely use letters or numbers or even brackets, symbols, mix them together to create a particular rule to tell the system how to handle the DID number. That's it. All right. But like I said, it's optional. If you don't have DID numbers, you don't need this. And number two, all right, next part will be caller ID pattern. Pattern, it's the same thing. Like I said, you can just use those rules, those, numbers, digits, anyway, to set the rule, right? So the caller ID pattern is for helping us to identify this customer's caller ID, not our caller ID, not our phone number. It's just for helping the phone system to identify that customer's caller ID. Now, for example, like I got some prank calls. I don't want to pick it up. I just want to hang up. So I can use caller ID to do that, caller ID pattern to do that. Or I have a VIP customer. I want to handle this VIP customer or maybe a couple of VIP customers' numbers. I want to handle those numbers particularly with my account manager. Well, I can do the same thing. Use this caller ID pattern to identify those numbers. The next step, choose the chunk. All right. Apparently, I don't have a chunk right now, so I guess we're supposed to create a chunk. Okay. Just for an example. So again, I need to create a chunk here. Let's see, SIP01. I will just use the account chunk. All right. Make it easy. All right. Make it easy. Okay. Go for the apply. All right. Let's just create a couple of them. All right. I think we can create a couple of them to make it be easy to understand. All right. So I got a number 2 and I got a number 3. SIP03. Account trunk. Save this. There you go. Now, keep going with our call control. Inbound route. Okay. So this one I'm going to call it as N1. Okay. Now you will be able to see those chunks. So select them, all right, select one of them or any of them or all of them, depends on you. If you select all of them, that means, well, you have different chunks, you have different numbers, people, they can call you through different channels, different chunks. But anyway, they will be able to reach this destination, this incoming call destination. So here's the deal. If you use the default destination directly, that means we're going to handle those calls directly with this destination. But of course, we're going to enable time conditions, right? Like this is business hour, we're going to handle calls to the IVR. And this is out of the business hour, we're going to handle calls with voicemail, maybe. So we're going to enable time condition like this. Then time-based routing mode here, we got a couple of options. Number 1, based on global business hours. What is the global business hours? I guess you guys do remember a couple of minutes ago I just showed you the way how we configure the business hours. And that one is the global business hours, which I created before. So if you want to use that one, you use this. So during business hours, the destination will be IVR. Out of the business hours, it might be group voicemail. Holidays might be hand up. Well, I don't know. Just an example. Okay. Or if you want to customize it, you can also choose this based on custom business hours. That means I'm not going to follow the business. I'm not going to follow the entire system. I mean the global one. I'm going to create a couple of rules by myself here particularly. So that's okay. You can also create it one by one here as well. And you can set the destinations for different duration. For different time conditions. That's also supported. Besides, we also got a feature code. So the authorized extension can also be able to switch the time condition by using the feature code. Sometimes people need the flexibility to switch it. So that's supported as well. Okay, and the last one will be based on custom time periods. This is also supported as well. So for shift work system, all right, if you take the shift work system, that's kind of like your business mode, let's say. Then you can also use this based on custom time periods to manage your phone system. Okay, the last one will just be fax detection. If you need fax detection, all right, you better enable this. And don't forget to enable another thing on the trunk settings. For example, if you're going to handle fax through the first channel, first trunk, go click on Advanced. All right, right over here, enable T.38. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to handle fax because as we know, technically fax can be based on the analog channel, which is the PSTN line only, the traditional analog trunk only. So we're talking about the SIP trunk now. If you want to use your SIP trunk to handle fax, don't forget to enable T.38. Then over here, just enable fax detection. Choose the destination. So the destination, if you have a particular extension, which is the fax machine, you can use it directly. If you don't have a fax machine, you can also use fax to email. So fax to email is also supported. All right. Then this fax to email will just be a PDF. Now you're going to get this fax by a PDF. All right, okay. Okay, so that was all for the inbound route. Now, let's keep going. The next one, outbound route. Outbound route is just like a reverse, right? We're going to handle outgoing costs. So same as you roll, we click on add, create a new outbound route here. So we can name this one as out 1. And outbound caller ID, you don't need to do anything here, all right? Unless you got a special requirement to change the caller ID. Otherwise, please do not set anything here, okay? Then here comes the dial pattern. What is the dial pattern? The dial pattern is it's very important, guys. You know, on the telephony system, first of all, let's see this. On any telephony system in this world, whatever it is, IP-based, digital-based, or analog-based, the basic logic is always like this. Whatever the number is, whatever the number you want to dial, the system will always start searching this number internally rather than send this number out through your outbound route directly. That's the basic logic. So that's why we need the dial pattern. We need the dial pattern to tell the system, hey, please identify this particular number, all right, the number I'm dialing. Send it through the outbound route to reach my target. All right, I don't want to call any of my extensions. This is for external. That's why we need the dial pattern. So have a check here first of all, guys. The pattern is quite easy. You know, you will use the same way to configure this particular pattern. All right. You can see the default pattern. It's a letter X with the dot. So what's the meaning? The meaning of that is very easy to understand. The letter X matches the number from 0 to 9. The dot actually means after the first digit. The first digit is letter X. It can be anything, right? So that means after the first digit, there must be something left. See, this is easy to understand, right? Well, this is just the default pattern. That means this default pattern, it works for anything. It works for any number. That's not what we want. We want the system can be able to identify this is for external calls. So we use a identification number at the very beginning. We need an identification number here. So this identification number can be anything. Number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 9. Depends on you. The point here is you just need to pick one. All right, just need to pick one number which is specific, which is very specified on your system. And then we got strip. We need to strip 1. We need to strip the first number. Because the first number, which is number 9, that's just the identification number in this example, right? So we need to strip the first digit because that's not going to be the actual number if I send this number out to the service provider directly. Pretty sure I'm not going to be able to send this call out. So I need to strip the first digit. And as for prepend, you don't need to do anything there because mostly the service provider, the carrier, they're going to figure out all this in advance. But if they got a special requirement, then you will just need to follow. All right, like if you want to make international calls, you probably need to enter country code first. But before that, you also need to enter the international dialing code. And this dialing code, like 00 or plus or something else, if the carrier asks you to set it on your system by yourself, then you set it over here. But if they don't have a special requirement like this, you don't need this. All right, so this is the dial pattern. Then select your channels. Which chunk are you going to use for this outgoing call? You can select all of them, of course. Then you can set the password, single password or pen list to manage this external call. Then people, when they try to make a call, they need to enter the password. Then one more thing here will just be round robin with memory hunt. We can also enable this. If you disable the round robin with memory hunt, then our system will just follow these priority. So it's like every single time we're going to use the first selected channel for external call. If the first channel is available, then we're always going to take that. It's not that good. We actually want to have automatic shift, right? So for that circumstance, we will need to enable round robin. So the system will just take automatic shift among those selected channels. It's like the first call goes out through this one, then the second call will go through this one. Automatic shifting, like I said. Then the last step, select your extensions. So those selected extensions, they will just be able to make external calls by using these selected channels, selected chunks. Of course, they also need the password. Then we just click on save. As for the time condition, you can also enable the time condition for external costs as well. Depends on the way how are you going to manage the phone system. After this, then we click on save, and don't forget this orange button, which is apply. So this is the way how we're going to configure the way how we make external costs, which is the outbound route. Now, of course, another thing here is whatever it is for inbound route and outbound route. You guys can see we got import and export. So you can always use the export, get the template. It's a CSV file. You get the template. Now, for example, you can always get the template, all right? Then you will be able to edit this template to create a bunch of inbound routes or outbound routes like this. Okay, now, all right, so I guess that was all we have for this session. Okay, that was all we have for session 2. Basically, we just figure out the extension settings, trunk settings, plus the call control settings. I guess we still have something left, like call features. That will be our next topic. So the next session, we're going to talk about call features configuration right over here. So we're going to talk about those call features, all right, in the next session. Then catch you guys in the next one.